For 4 years, Star Trek had a massive 10 alien villains crossover. For 4 years, the biggest Star Trek alien villain crossover has been gradually happening on Star Trek Lower Decks, but in the animated comedy's opening credits. Created by Mike McMahon, Star Trek Lower Decks is set in the late 24th century of Star Trek, the Next Generation's era. This means everything Star Trek up to that point, from Star Trek Enterprise to Star Trek, the original series, TNG, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Voyager, and the first 10 Star Trek movies are ripe for homage or parody. And this includes the numerous aliens Starfleet and the United Federation of Planets have faced. Star Trek Lower Decks' opening credits evolve throughout the show's 5 seasons. Set to the majestic score by Chris Westlake, Star Trek Lower Decks' titles showcase the USS Cerritos and its misadventures warping around the galaxy. After the names of the 4 main Star Trek Lower Decks cast members, Tawny Newsome, Jack Quaid, Noel Wells, and Eugene Cordero, the Cerritos runs into a region of space where Starfleet's enemy aliens are fighting each other. As a California-class support ship, the Cerritos wisely turns tail and runs away. With each season of Star Trek Lower Decks, more and more aliens show up for the big fight in the opening credits. Here are all 10 aliens involved in Star Trek Lower Decks' main title showdown. The Borg. Logically, the USS Cerritos hits the bricks in Star Trek Lower Decks' opening credits at the sight of several Borg cubes fighting Romulan warbirds. The Borg Collective are the most fearsome threat to the United Federation of Planets and the entire galaxy in the late 24th century. In Star Trek Lower Decks' time frame, the Borg are at their mightiest. Led by the malevolent Borg Queen, Alice Krige, Susanna Thompson, the Borg have attacked the Federation multiple times, although they have always been defeated, primarily by Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, and the crew of the USS Enterprise D and E, the Romulans. Battling it out with the Borg are several warbirds belonging to the Romulan Star Empire. One of the Federation's oldest foes, the Romulans are a secretive and insidious military society. In Star Trek Lower Decks' time frame, the Romulans have just become aware their sun will go supernova. However, they're steadfast enemies of the Federation during Lower Decks. Interestingly, Star Trek Lower Decks premiered on Paramount Plus in 2020 after Star Trek Picard, and the sight of Romulans fighting the Borg can be seen as a nod to how the Romulans acquired a derelict Borg cube and turned it into the Artifact, a Borg reclamation site in Star Trek Picard Season 1, the Paykolds. In Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2's opening credits, Paykold's clump ships and Klingon birds of prey join the big fight between the Borg and the Romulans. The Paykolds may be the dumbest of the alien foes introduced in Star Trek The Next Generation. The Paykolds returned in Star Trek Lower Decks, and they were still imbeciles, but they were also dangerous. The Paykolds nearly destroyed the USS Cerritos, and they framed Captain Carol Freeman, Don Lewis, for blowing up Paykold Planet. The Klingons. In Star Trek Lower Decks' late 24th century, the Klingon Empire are allies of the Federation, and they fought and won Star Trek Deep Space Nine's Dominion War together. The Klingons are led by Chancellor Garen J.G. Hertzler, who became leader of the Empire at the end of DS9. Klingons and Starfleet may be on friendly political terms, but the warrior race generally frowns upon humans, and many Starfleet officers don't enjoy being around Klingons either. But if it's a good day to die, Klingons will do so besides Starfleet if honor demands it. In an unprecedented moment in Sci-Fi television, the Star Trek universe captivated fans by executing an epic 4-year-long crossover event featuring 10 of the most menacing and iconic alien villains from across its vast lore. What began as a single-episode nod to fan-favorite enemies soon spiraled into a meticulously crafted, interconnected narrative that pushed the limits of storytelling, visual effects, and the essence of what Star Trek represented. The idea of bringing together the galaxy's most notorious villains into one overarching storyline had been floated around since the late 1990s. However, it wasn't until the development of the latest Star Trek series set after the events of Star Trek Picard that the idea gained real traction. The showrunners, recognizing a golden opportunity to unify decades of lore, began weaving together clues that would hint at this epic crossover from the very first season. It all began with the Borg, the relentless cybernetic species that assimilates other races to achieve perfection. But in this new storyline, the Borg were different. Hints dropped in early episodes revealed a weakening of their collective mind, a mysterious force that was disrupting their hive-like intelligence. As this thread unraveled, it became clear that the Borg were being preyed upon by something even more dangerous, an ancient force long believed dormant. This revelation led the USS Enterprise on a mission to uncover the identity of this new threat, inadvertently stumbling into a web of alliances, betrayals, and galactic-scale warfare orchestrated by not just one villain, but 10. These adversaries included classic foes such as the Klingon warlord Kor and the ever-scheming Romulan Tal Shiar leader Sela, who each sought to manipulate the chaos to their advantage. However, they were joined by other formidable alien forces, many of whom had not been seen in decades. One of the most surprising returns was the Dominion's shape-shifting founders, led by the manipulative female changeling who had gone into hiding after the events of Deep Space Nine. Their re-emergence signaled a new era of intergalactic espionage, with the changelings infiltrating key positions across the galaxy. Working alongside them were the Cardassians, who, under the leadership of Gul Dukat, sought to restore their empire to its former glory. Dukat, forever the opportunist, thrived in this environment, playing both sides as he sought revenge for past defeats. Another unexpected antagonist was the Tholians, a xenophobic crystalline species capable of weaving energy webs around their prey. Previously depicted as isolated and uninterested in galactic politics, their involvement in this story arc revealed a darker agenda, one that threatened to unravel the very fabric of space-time itself. The inclusion of the Tholians added a unique sci-fi twist, with the crew of the Enterprise having to face not only physical threats, but also metaphysical ones. The collaboration of these villains wasn't one of convenience. It was revealed that a mysterious entity, known only as the Harbinger, had been manipulating events behind the scenes. This ancient being, once thought to be a myth, had returned to claim control over the galaxy. What made the Harbinger truly terrifying was its ability to not only outsmart Starfleet, but also to control time itself, orchestrating events from the shadows across millennia. This manipulation was the reason so many villains found themselves in positions of power, only to be betrayed in the final moments as they realized they too were mere pawns. The writers masterfully explored themes of trust, ambition, and the blurred lines between heroism and villainy. Many of the villains, despite their insidious natures, were given moments of vulnerability, showing them not just as antagonists, but as beings with their own motivations and fears. For example, Kor, who had long fought against the Federation, found himself in an unlikely alliance with Captain Riker as they fought a mutual enemy threatening both their species. The tension between the two characters, each holding on to years of enmity, culminated in a powerful scene where they were forced to work together or face total annihilation. The final battle took place not in space, but in the very heart of the Nexus, a metaphysical realm introduced in Star Trek Generations. Here, time was irrelevant, and the fate of the universe hung in the balance. The Starship crew, along with former adversaries like Q, a godlike trickster, had to confront the Harbinger in a showdown that tested not just their physical prowess, but their moral compasses. In the end, it wasn't firepower that won the day, but diplomacy and understanding the very ethos of Starfleet itself. The villains, who had spent decades being portrayed as purely evil, were given moments of redemption. Even the Borg, long regarded as irredeemable,